Thank you. Enough about myself. Now I would like to introduce you to another hostess, Ruth Begun. Ruth is a system analyst with the Equitable Life Assurance Society. She has also been very active with the New York Metropolitan Chapter of the National Paraplegia Foundation. She is both a legislative chairperson and a board member. Recently, she was appointed to Community Planning Board number 2 in Manhattan. Ruth.
I would like to commend this assembly of women for recognizing that people with disabilities have the right to be integrated into the mainstream of life. And perhaps for the very first time, including disabled women in all facets of the plans for this meeting. Thank you. I'd like to introduce our next performers, who are Gretchen, Crier, and Nancy Ford. Crier and Ford have been writing together for over a decade. Their off-Broadway musical, The Last Sweet Days of Isaac, won an Obie Award. Just recently, in 1974, they began performing as a singing team, and since then, their album, Crier and Ford, has been recorded by RCA. Their music and lyrics capture their lives, portraits of their past, visions of their future achieved through a gently ironic and always human touch. Gretchen, Crier, and Nancy Ford.
Of all the years from 1 to 33. used to read the comic books, Wonder Woman, beautiful and bold. And I had a magic bracelet and a lasso made of gold. I thought I could do anything, and I shouted to the sky, I'll be like Wonder Woman, I'm gonna learn to fly. And then a young man came along, and Mama said, you better change your ways. Take off your magic bracelet, or you'll regret it all your days. Let him be Mr. Everything, you just be sweet and smile. No man likes Wonder Woman cramping up his style. So be a cling and bind, a cling and bind. If you lean on his shoulder, everything will be fine. Just be a cling and bind, that's what she said to me. A vine looks prettiest clinging to a tree. I put away my childhood days, Wonder Woman, I've been told, to trade in my magic bracelet for a wedding band of gold. And now I'm trying everything to please his loving eye. 'Cause oh, I wanna keep him until the day I die. I'll be a cling and bind, a cling and bind. If I lean on his shoulder, everything will be fine. I'll be a cling and bind, that's what I'm gonna be. A vine is happiest clinging to a tree. So one by one, the years went by. I kept clinging closer every day. And I tried so hard to please him, 'cause I wanted him to stay. I clung to Mr. Everything till he looked me in the eye and said, I think I'm choking. Let go before I die. You're just a cling and bind, a cling and bind. Oh, you hang on my shoulder and you whine all the time. You're just a cling and bind, so I've gotta get free. Don't you know a cling and bind can kill a tree? Hello, Wonder Woman. Goodbye, clinging vine. I'm coming, Wonder Woman, to repossess what's mine. I want my magic bracelet, a lasso made of gold, to help collect the royalties when my sad story's told. I was a cling and bind, a cling and bind. Oh, I leaned on his shoulder thinking things would be fine. I was a cling and bind until I lost my tree. Now I'm leaning on the wind and hanging free. Now I'm leaning on the wind and hanging free. Leaning on the wind and hanging free.
That's better. You know something? About this next person, it can be said that if there's an award, she's won it. The Drama League of New York, the Tony, the Emmy, the Grammy, and the Oscar. If there's a good cause, she has supported it. She's been bestowed with a multitude of honorary degrees from various renowned universities. But tonight, we have the greatest honor of all, because tonight we have Miss Helen Hayes with us.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, don't I wish I could reward you with a bit more of that singing. Well, I've been so impatient to get on here, I could hardly wait. To just to stand on the platform where I have heard such great wisdom, so beautifully presented, and where I have seen a show that makes the Broadway professional theater look a little limp. Maybe the ladies who presented this show should march right down to Manhattan and take over the New York theater. I'm here to make a presentation. You know, before I do, I have sometimes, and from time to time, I hear myself called an institution. Institution. Every time I hear the word, I feel like a turn-of-the-century building where the wind whistles down the halls, stirring up stacks of old reviews. I'm an actress. I've been an actress for 72 years. And not by any stretch of the imagination is anybody going to turn me into an institution. I think we all resist categories of some fashion or other every day, and that resistance is the stuff of real drama. What we saw earlier tonight, through the first 150 years of New York women's history in Family Reunion. Now we're going to have a look at our future, and I hope there won't be any institutions in sight there. Here to lead us on that journey is my dear friend and colleague, the gracious, the lovely, the talented Celeste Holm.
Back in 1945, there was a show on Broadway which was about Dolly Bloomer, who stirred it all up in Seneca Falls. Only we called it Cicero Falls in the show, and I played her niece. And I was a feminist, and I wrecked my father's hoop skirt business in the show. And this was the song I sang. Grandma was the lady, she sewed and cleaned and cooked. She scrubbed her pots and raised her tots, the dear old gal was hooked. She stitched her little stitches, her life was applesauce. The thing that wore the breeches was boss. Yes, the thing that wore the breeches was boss. She had no voice in government, and bondage was her state. She only knew what love meant from 8 to 8:30, and that's a hell of a state. Good enough for Grandma, that good old gal with her frills and her feathers and fuss. It was good enough for Grandma, good enough for Grandma, but it ain't good enough for us. When Granny was a lassie, that tyrant known as man thought woman's place was just the space around a frying pan. He made the world his oyster, now it ain't worth a cuss. That oyster he can't foister on us. No, that oyster he can't foister on us. What do I say? What do I say? Right. Our brains against his muscle, our tea against his rum. Look behind the bustle for the shape of things to come. Join up with pipe and drum. It was good enough for Grandma, that good old gal with her frills and her feathers and fuss. It was good enough for Grandma, good enough for Grandma, but it ain't good enough for us. We won the revolution in 70-76. Who says it's nix for us to trick our sex with politics? We bigger worlds seized as women and bigger worlds to slice. Oh, sisters, are we women or mice? Oh, sisters, are we women or mice? Look twice before you step on the fair sex of the earth. Beware our secret weapon. We could stop giving birth. Take that for what it's worth. Oh, it was good enough for Grandma. That good old gal with her filthy handbags and fuss. It was good enough for Grandma. Good enough for Grandma, but it ain't good enough for us. No, it ain't good enough for us. No, sir. Thank you. A lot of people liked that song when I did it back 32 years ago. I haven't done it since. But I wonder how many people really went out and did something about changing the way things were for women. My own grandmother was a suffragette. I only found out yesterday that word was a put-down. She was a suffragist, yes. Fighting for votes for women, thinking that that would straighten out the inequalities. So in that tradition, I'm here to try, as we all are, to find ways to fulfill those still unmet promises. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you a number of wonderful women who are not only in the business of entertainment, but much, much more. Here is Martha Greenhouse, president of the New York local of the American Federation of Radio and Television Artists. And Beth Holland, who is working on the National Women's Committee of the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA to provide more and better roles to improve the media image of women. I'm sure you all know Hattie Winston, who lights up millions of homes every day in the electric company. And Vinie Burrows comes to us from her own marvelous one-woman show on the history of black women and men. Kathryn Grody is active in all forms of theater, has worked with women in prison, and is active in the cause of amnesty. You've seen Rosalind Harris on both the stage and the screen, but I'm sure you'll recognize Seitel in the film version of Fiddler on the Roof. And Thelma Lee, who has just appeared in the Broadway revival as Zero Mostel's co-star in Fiddler on the Roof. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Now, to help me narrate this second collage, here is a great activist, feminist, Academy Award winner, and my partner, Susan B. Anthony, Kim Hunter.
Thank you, Celeste. In years gone by, a lot of those activists who worked for human rights often had a very lonely time of it. But their determination and courage inspired others to join them until they had grown into a vast movement, and things finally began to change. One of our latter-day pioneers is here with us to read a poem she has written. It's my honor to present one of the great stars of our time. Her work and her commitment to others has been an inspiration to all of us. Ruby Dee.
Calling all women, calling all women, calling all righteous women to steal away to our secret place. Have a meeting face to face. Look at the facts and determine our pace. Calling all women. We want to reach first and second and third world women. Come together. Women inside, outside the power structure. Working women. welfare women, women who feel alienated and isolated, women who are all frustrated, who have given up women, women questioning women, women unpolarized and unorganized, ostracized, tired of being and penalized. Come, help us start to bridge the gaps, racial, cultural, or generation. We want action, not veneration. These men, they just ain't doing it. They've had hundreds of years, now they're about to ruin it. Kitchen, office, ex-prison women, singing, dancing, diapering women, old and young and middle-aged women. Take a subway, grab a cab, ride a bike, or pick them up and lay them down. Just make this scene. Now is the time for convolutions. Let's all search and find solutions. Here and now and futurism. We just can't afford a schism. We got to get together or die.
As a matter of course, in Libya, the men curled their hair and tended the children and mopped the floor and bangled their bracelets and kept the pot fires burning as a matter of Libyan course. For if they did not, who would?
Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff. Not my poems or a dance I gave in the street, but somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff, like a kleptomaniac was working hard and forgetting while stealing, this is mine. This ain't your stuff. Put me back and let me hang out in my own self. Somebody almost walked off with all of my stuff and didn't care enough to send a note home saying I was gonna be late for my solo conversation or 2 sizes too small for my own tacky skirts. Now what can anybody do with my stuff? Hey man, hey, where you going with all my stuff? This is a woman's trip, and I need my stuff to ooh and ah about. This is mine. I see you hiding in my laugh and how I sit with my legs open sometimes to give my crotch some sunlight. And there goes my love and my toes and my chewed up fingernails. I want my stuff back, my own rhythm and my voice. You can't have me lest I give me away. And I was doing all that till you ran off on a good thing. I want my own things, how I live them. Hey, and give me my memories, what it was to be me, how I was when I was there. You can't have it. You can't have it, and you can't do nothing to it. Hey, stealing my shit from me don't make it yours, it makes it stolen. And I was standing there looking at myself the whole time, and it wasn't no spirits that took my stuff. It was a man whose ego walked around like Rodin's shadow, was a man faster than my own innocence, was a lover I made too much room for. And somebody almost ran off with all of my stuff. And I was shouting, this is mine. And he don't even know he got it. My stuff. Did you hear me? I said my stuff is the unanimous ripped off treasure of this year. Hey man, this is not your prerogative. I gotta have me in my pocket to get around like a good woman should. And make the poem in the pot or chicken the dance. What I got to do, I got to have my stuff to do it too. Now why don't you find your own things and leave this package of me for my own destiny? What you gotta get from me, hey, I'll give it to you. I will give it to you. I will give it to you round 5 o'clock in the winter. When the sky is blue-red and Deuce City is getting pressed. Now, if it's really my stuff you gotta give it to me. And if you want it, I am the only one that can handle it. Now get to that.
Once there was a poor fisherwoman and her husband. They lived in a hut on a rocky cliff. Early each morning, the fisherwoman arose and went out in the boat, while the house husband mended nets and stirred the iron pot. One day, the fisherwoman caught a magic fish.
Wow! You must be some kind of magic fish.
I'm glad you noticed. What's more, I'm prepared to grant you 3 wishes if you don't eat me. Just throw me back into the sea.
Do I need to tell you that that's exactly what the fisherwoman did? She loosened the net, and the magic fish leapt joyfully back into the sea. Full of amazement, the fisherwoman returned to her humble cottage, eager to tell the little man her exciting news.
Sweetie pie, you're not going to believe this. You better sit down.
Sit down, she says. I barely finished washing the dishes and hanging out the laundry and the nets I have to mend. How can one woman be so hard on her nets? I can hardly keep the repair going. And the moment you come home, you expect me to drop everything I'm doing and to listen to your day. Oh, sit down, she says.
Sit down! I just caught a magic fish.
Ah, come off it! With my life, you expect me to believe in magic?
Oh, sweetie, I know you've had it hard. But from now on, things are going to be different. The magic fish promised me 3 wishes if I would throw her back into the sea.
Ah, I don't believe you.
I like to think of Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, who carried a revolver, who had a scar on her head from a rock thrown by a slave master because she talked back, and who had a ransom on her head of thousands of dollars, and who was never caught, and who defied the law because the law was wrong. I like to think of her. I like to think of her, especially when I think of the problem of feeding children. The legal answer to the problem of feeding children is 10 free lunches every month, being equal in the child's real life to eating lunch every other day, Monday but not Tuesday. I like to think of the president eating lunch Monday but not Tuesday. And when I think of the president and the law and the problem of feeding children, I like to think of Harriet Tubman. And sometimes I think of the president and other men who practice the law, who revere the law, who make the law, who enforce the law, who hide behind and operate through and feed themselves at the expense of starving children because of the law. Men who sit in paneled offices and think about vacations and tell women whose care it is to feed children not to be hysterical. Not to be hysterical, as in the word hysterikos, the Greek for womb suffering, not to suffer in their wombs, not to care, not to bother the men, because the men want to think of other things and do not want to take the women seriously. I want men to take us seriously. I want them to think about Harriet Tubman and remember, she was beat by a man and she lived. And she lived to redress her grievances. And she lived in swamps and wore the clothes of a man, bringing hundreds of fugitives from slavery, and was never caught, and led an army, and won a battle, and defied the laws because the laws were wrong. I want men to take us seriously. I'm tired wanting them to think about right and wrong. I want them to feel fear now, as I have felt suffering in my womb. And I want men to know there is always a time. There is always a time to make right what is wrong, and that time is beginning.
Thank you, Vinie Burrows, remembering one of the greatest people of all times, Harriet Tubman. We have so much to learn from her life, but let's face it, a lot of us grew up in comparative innocence. We even retired to our radios and television sets to get some drama into our lives. Our next star is one of those marvelous actors who makes house calls. No doubt you remember Irene Dailey from her award-winning performance in The Subject Was Roses. You can catch her almost any day working the soaps on TV. But her real love of life is her own one-woman show of feminist material. Here now is Irene Dailey to bring you the continuing saga of the hard times of Sally Rand, whom we discover now in Chicago as she struggles hard to be raunchy during the Depression.
I was 26 in 1930, a nice age to start savoring things. I was born in the last naive moment America was ever to enjoy between the Spanish-American War and the First World War. Things were SS and G, sweet, simple, and girlish. Virtue triumphed, honesty prevailed. It poorly prepared us who grew up in this innocent way for the 30s. Suddenly all the copybook maxims were turned backwards. How could it be that a man who had been at a job for 30 years couldn't have a job? How could it be that a business that had been in business for a lifetime isn't anymore? Friends of mine who went to Princeton, Harvard, Yale, jumped out of windows with accuracy. I was booked on the Orpheum circuit in an act called Sally and Her Boys. The Depression canceled our bookings. I was stranded in Chicago. Every hotel in the Loop was in 77B. That's being in bankruptcy to Uncle Sam, legitimately. I didn't have any money. I couldn't pay my hotel bill. I didn't have food or whiskey or anything. I went down to see the management and I said, I never ran out on a hotel bill in my life. I haven't got a job, but I'll get one. Meantime, I can't pay you what I owe you. They said, don't worry, there's nobody in the hotel anyway. One of the boys in my act, Tony, was from Chicago. He said, don't worry. All my uncles are stagehands and the rest are bootleggers. Pick out a nightclub you want to work. We'll work. I went to look at those little freak places with their postage stamp stages. Up to this time, the most sexy thing I'd ever done was Scheherazade in the ballet. I thought a girl who went on stage without stockings was a hussy. I got the job, $75 a week, because Tony's uncles were delivering whiskey for Frankie, the owner. Well, I had to find a number to do. I couldn't do a toe dance there. I walked down to Maybelle Shearer's costume shop on Wabash. She had a lot of old fans laying on the counter. I picked up a pair of those feathered fans, the kind that prima donnas use to hit the high notes with. Anytime any female picks up a fan, she instantly becomes a femme fatale, a coquette. I've seen it happen down in the Ozarks, at Baptist revival meetings. A lady in a poke bonnet and calico dress picks up a palmied fan and instantly becomes the Queen of Sheba. I picked up a pair of fans and looked in the mirror. I smiled my inscrutable smile, and the whole thing worked. Suddenly I saw the fans did exactly what I wanted. Hit it, Professor. Life is just a bowl of cherries. Don't take it serious. Life's too mysterious. You work, you sleep, you worry so, but you can't take your go when you go, go, go. Repeating it's the memories, the strongest oak must fall. The best things in life to you were just low. So how can you lose what you never own? Life is just a bowl of cherries. So live and laugh at it all. Woo!
Me, 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 me.
I talk too much. I'm quite bright, so it's interesting, but nevertheless, I talk too much. You see, I'm already saying more than I should. I mean, men hate it for a woman to blurt out, "I'm bright." They think she's really saying, "I'm brighter than you are." As a matter of fact, that is what I'm saying. I am brighter than even the brightest men I know. That's why it's a mistake to talk too much. Men fall behind and feel challenged and grow hostile. So, when I'm very attracted to a man, I make it a point to talk more slowly than I would to one of my woman friends. And because I guide him along gently from insight to insight, he ends up being terribly impressed with his own brilliance and with mine for being able to keep up with him. And he tells me I'm the first woman he's ever met who's as interesting as one of his boyfriends. That's love.
Dolly. Let go, Dolly. Dolly, you've got to learn to let go. Love is more than mere possession, Dolly. It's giving rather than taking, freeing rather than enslaving. Loosen your grip, Dolly. If you're afraid to let go, it means you don't trust me. And if you don't trust me, it means you think I might leave you. And if you think I'll leave you, then it means that you've lost respect for yourself. And if you lose respect for yourself, in time you'll force me to lose respect for you. And I'll want to leave you. But with a freer grip, with a looser hold, you free to go your way and I free to go mine. We'll be so much happier. Try to see it my way.
Me? Free to go my way?
Why, yes.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Hold me!
Where is it written that husbands get $25 lunches and invitations to South America for think conferences, while wives get Campbell's black bean soup and a trip to the firehouse with the first grade? And where is it written that husbands get to meet beautiful lady lawyers and beautiful lady professors of ancient history and beautiful sculptresses and heiresses and poetesses, while wives get to meet the checker with the acne at the Safeway? And where is it written that husbands get a nap and the Super Bowl on Sundays, while wives get to help color in the coloring book? Where is it written that husbands get ego gratification, emotional support, and hot tea in bed for 10 days when they have the sniffles, while wives get to give it to them? And if a wife should finally decide, let him take the shoes to the shoemaker, and the children to the pediatrician, and the dog to the vet, while she takes up something like brain surgery or transcendental meditation, where is it written that she always has to feel guilty?
I've had the privilege of working with, performing for, and learning from women in prison. As some of you may know, a great deal of poetry is being written from inside prison.
Everybody says don't, everybody says don't, everybody says don't get out of line. When they say that, then I'm 10. Baby, you're doing just fine. Yes, I say do. I say break a few rules, it's good for you. I say sail, tilt the windmill, and if you fail, you fail. Everybody says don't, everybody says can't, everybody says wait around for miracles. That's the way the world is made. I insist on miracles. You can do them. Miracles. Nothing You know, when I was thinking about doing this evening's performance, I was trying to think of songs, you know, that would be appropriate tonight. And it was a little difficult for me to come up with them because in the years when I was growing up, they used to write music for women that, well, like this. There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone who'll watch over me. I'm a little lamb who's lost in the wood. I know I could always be good to one who'll watch over me. You see, here we had this young girl who was just entering into womanhood, just blossoming. And the thing that she was taught to hope for and dream most of is to find some big strapping man who would take care of her and treat her just like a little girl. Well, we're all tired of that, right? Why? Well, in the words of that indomitable feminist, Henry Higgins, you see, women are irrational, that's all there is to that. Their heads are full of cotton, hay, and rags. They're nothing but exasperating, irritating, agitating, vacillating, calculating, maddening, infuriating hags. Oh, that does feel so good. Ladies, why can't a woman be more like a man? Yes. Why can't a woman be more like a man? Men are so honest, so thoroughly square, eternally noble, historically fair, who when you win will always give your back a pat. Why can't a woman be like that? Why does everyone do as the others do? Can't a woman learn to use her head? Why must they do everything their mothers do? Why don't they grow up like their fathers instead? Yes, why can't a woman take after a man? Men are so pleasant, so easy to please. Whenever you're with one, you're always at ease. Would you be wounded if I didn't speak for hours? Would you be livid if I had a drink or two? Would you be wounded if I never sent you flowers? No, why can't a woman be like you? One man in a million may shout a bit. Now and then there's one with slight defects. One perhaps whose truthfulness you doubt a bit. Oh, ladies, fill in your own blanks. But by and large, they are a marvelous sex. Yes, why can't a woman behave like a man? Men are so friendly, good-natured and kind. A better companion you'll never find. If I were hours late for dinner, would you bellow? If I forgot your silly birthdays, would you fuss? Would you complain if I took out another fellow? No, why can't a woman be like us? Yes.
There's more music coming, written by Carol Frankel and Lois Wise, performed by Hattie Winston, Nancy Andrews, and Roz Harris. It's called Female Assertiveness Training. I think I know what it's about. I think I've been doing it for a while. But I'll be listening hard anyway, just in case I can learn a thing or two. Female Assertiveness Training.
I'm afraid of a cat, a bat, and chicken fat. I'm afraid of my mother, her brother, and all the other people in my life. I'm afraid of sexual aberrations, job applications, and non-legal affiliations. I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid.
Women, screw up your courage. Take a deep breath and screw up your courage. With Female Assertiveness Training.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
It means stand up for yourself and be counted. Stand up as if you amounted to something as good as a man.
I think I can, I think I can.
Stand up for yourself and be counted. Don't be passive, calm, and compliant. Time to become self-reliant. Stand up for yourself right now. Don't be afraid to show what your real feelings are.
When I was just a little girl, my parents said to me, "You're such a charming child. Too bad you are so chubby." I thought my mom would love me if I would clean my room. I think that to my parents I was just a human broom. I had a negative self-image, an idea I was zero. Would I ever get a man, a mustached, long-haired hero?
You have got to believe in you. Next.
I'm intimidated by butcher, grocer, baker. An angry look from one of them is a positive heartbreaker. I never send back wine. I eat my hot soup cold. I can't criticize a waiter. That would be too bold. I make beds, scrub floors, and love it. 'Cause in my broken heart, I believe that doing housework is just acting out my part.
Women, screw up your courage. Take a deep breath and screw up your courage. With Female Assertiveness Training.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
It means stand up for yourself and be counted. Stand up as if you amounted to something as good as a man.
I think I can. I think I can.
Stand up for yourself and be counted. Don't be an also-ran. Be more than an imitation man. Stand up for yourself right now.
Stand up for yourself and be counted. Stand up for yourself and be counted. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself right now. I got rid of all my negatives. I'm a brand new me. My body's still the same, but I'm speaking positively. Stand up to my husband and say when he's to blame, without stuttering and stammering and feeling guilt and shame. I can tell the goddamn shoemaker I cannot stand his soul. I'm an assertive female now, and I like my brand new role.
nothing as good as a man. We know we can, we know we can.
So, women of the universe, before our world gets any worse, Skyroot, up your courage, take a deep breath and screw up your courage with female assertiveness training. Right on!
Very smart.
This is my dog. His name is Happy. Want to know why I call him Happy? Watch. Here, boy. Want a doggy goodie? And that's why I call him Happy.
All right, and there's one more thing I want to tell you, Arthur, as long as you got your little boutique going. Yeah, I've bought a mini
wait a minute, hold it.
For what?
Your argument time is up. 5 cents more for 5 minutes.
All right, because I want to tell you that I think that not only hanging up was a rotten idea.
Sesame Street has been brought to you today by the letters Q and U and by the number 12.
I don't even like Irish.
Sesame Street is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to.